Okay, we're back. We're just going to run through one more lesson here, and what we're going to do is we're going to import a new module, and the module we're going to import is from random import rand integer. And what this does is from the random module, it imports the random integer function. So what this does is chooses a random integer or a random number. So let me explain what I mean here. If you recall, and I've actually replaced these numbers with, the numbers with RGB. You remember this was 255, 0, and 0. I've just replaced them with R, G, and B. And what we're going to do now is we're going to create variables for this R, G, and B and put and include this random integer function there. So what you need to do is just click on while true, and we're going to call R, so this R down here, we're going to go R equals rand int, or random integer, and we're going to choose a number between 0 and 255. So what that's going to do, I'll just hit enter, is when it gets to this R here, when the program runs through and gets to this R, it's going to choose a number between 0 and 255. Could be 1, could be 178, whatever. It's going to choose a random number here. We're going to do it again for the G, so G equals rand integer between 0 and 255. And finally B equals a random integer between 0 and 255. So now there's a variable for R, G, and B. So every time it calls R, it's going to choose a random number. Every time it calls G, it's going to choose a random number. And every time it calls B, it's going to choose a random number. You can see R, G, B are down here. So every time it runs through this program, it's going to choose a different number. So what we're going to do now is I'm just going to speed up the time. So I'm going to change this to 0, 0, 1. Okay, and let's check our code and see how it runs. So let's go down here, click play, and you can see every time that code is running, it's actually changing the color in the code. This camera isn't the best for that, but you can see that it's changing the red, green, and blue colors to a random number between 0 and 255 and mixing them together. So you can change this. Let's try and change this to 16 and 16. And let's run the program again. So this will actually go fully all the way across. The Unicorn Hat HD. Pretty cool. All right. You can play around with some of these numbers in here, and yeah, hopefully you learned a little bit about random integers.